Welcome to day 3 of Mobile World Congress 2017. I'm here with Philip from Ogilvy. He is going to be joining me and giving some thoughts on what he's been seeing in the past 3 days. Today, actually, I started with an interesting off the beaten path kind of conversation was around AI, automation, and robots. It actually was a lot more interesting than I expected, especially a partnership between Vodafone and Huawei where they're actually doing drones as services, and very specifically for farmers, for cell tower operators, and for rescue and search operations. So you log into this platform, you give them the parameters of what you need, and then these drones will just fly out of a center and actually do their task, come back and plug the data back into you, so you can then actually act on the findings. So fascinating, interesting look at again, Mobile World Congress, not about devices but about everything else. But the majority of the day I spent looking at fintech. I had a great panel today where they were talking about disruption in banks. In fact, they all agreed that banking is probably the least disrupted industry of all fintech. They gave 3 good reasons. Regulation is a big hurdle to get past. The ownership of assets very much sits with the banks, which is all the money, the transaction, the cards, and then banks actually never share information. So even with that said, they still were able to start sussing out some interesting things. There's Vivendi Bank in Turkey doing some interesting mobile first banking. There is Telstra was a company that actually released a study on millennial mobile and money. They actually gave us the link for the report. I'm going to actually add the link to the description of the video so you can download them. Some interesting stuff in there. A lot of stuff we already know, but they did classify the new trinity of the millennium as trust, technology, and relationships. I thought that was an interesting way of putting it. Conversational commerce was how I ended the day. Fascinating guy, David O'Flanagan. He's the founder of BoxEver. He's built a platform to basically put your CRM system on steroids. He uses AI to analyze and activate all of the data within the organization. He's working with a few airlines right now and doing conversational commerce, meaning specifically being able to order flights, hotels, meals, anything that has to do with that brand through chatbots, but using voice. He had a great quote around the philosophy of how they address these issues. I'll let you listen to that for a second.
I think it's not about maybe driving the consumer to the channel that the organization wants. It's about being present in the channel where the consumer wants to transact or interact, and that's a mindset shift that I think most organizations are just getting to grips with right now. And
so in theory, everything that they're doing for the purpose of addressing the consumer where and how and what they want. Very good philosophy for any of us. So Philip, what do you have to share with us?
So I mean, really echoing some of the things that you've just mentioned, what we have been hearing all week is that the voice of the consumer is stronger and louder than ever before, and so that really needs to be placed at the center of everything we do, even if that means rethinking everything we've been taking for granted, going back to basics and really changing the way that we do business and building new and more sustainable models. So I think it was John Stankey, the CEO of AT&T Entertainment. He was saying that ubiquitous connectivity is standard now, and so the real thing now is software. It needs to be a continuous wrapper providing flexibility and value. So like you say, it's not about the devices, it's not about the phones. The real product here at MWC is software. And a great example of that is Jeff Lawson, who is the founder of Twilio, which runs seamlessly in the background of apps that we all use, like Airbnb and Netflix, and really, doesn't ask, how can we do this, the most quickly or the most effectively, but actually just what is possible when it comes to listening to that consumer and solving the problems that they have.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Phil, for joining me today. Tomorrow's the last day, and I'll see you all soon. Thank you for joining. Bye-bye.